Welcome to You're Making It Worse. I'm Elliot Glazer.
I'm Brent Sullivan.
And I'm H. Alan Scott.
We're here. We're queer.
Meh. Textual healing.
So, some Disney employees are kind of angry at Disney. Some former Disney employees, I should say. And they're alleging that there's all kinds of shady things going on, particularly at Pixar, saying that the failure of Lightyear was the same-sex kiss. They're saying Disney executives are saying this, and that they were forced, the people who worked on Inside Out 2, they were forced to make Inside Out 2, quote, less gay. And there's a big spotlight on this story because Inside Out 2 is massive. I think it's the highest grossing animated film of all time now. It was like a massive, massive, massive success. Meanwhile, though, Disney and Pixar as a company, they laid off like some 100 employees or something. And there definitely was a restructuring because of many past failures, including Lightyear. So 10 former Pixar employees spoke out anonymously because of probably NDAs, saying that after they were laid off from Pixar, claiming that they had to work 7 days a week to finish the film. And it was rushed. Because of, Disney leadership placed blame for the movie Lightyear's financial failure. So they were trying to push this film out to have a success. And they also said that there was a small kiss in Lightyear and that Disney executives are blaming that as the reason why Lightyear failed. They disagree with that. So because of that, Inside Out 2, there were certain things about the lead character. Do you know Inside Out 2 at all, Elliot and Brent? Have you seen it?
I know Inside Out. I loved Inside Out.
Yeah,
which one's Inside Out?
Inside Out, so it's about sort of what goes on in the kid's brain and the different emotions in the girl's brain and as she ages and stuff. And this one sort of dealt with the character Riley growing up a little bit, teenage Riley. And the artists who spoke anonymously said that they would get continuous notes to make Riley come across as, quote, less gay. And that there was special care put into making the relationship between Riley and her friend Val, a supporting character in the film, that was introduced in Inside Out 2, so a new character, to seem more platonic. Now, Riley in no way is sort of gay in the film, although you could read into it depending upon, and that's what's so great about Disney films. You've seen it, right? Yeah, I have. And that's what's so great about Disney films is that, like, a queer kid could potentially see themselves in Riley while a straight kid could also see themselves in Riley. And that's sort of the beauty of the storytelling. But the character, they're saying, in the film, what you saw is nothing about Riley says that she is gay, but it is kind of inferred based on certain contexts about the character. And so that is something that they tried to play down at multiple points. Now, right under this article, and it was an interesting article, right under that, the suggested article from Out, where this article came from, was 41 celebs who did full frontal scenes. So
good old Out, a beacon sort of in a dark world.
It made me question a little bit about the intent of the story. But yeah, so it is interesting that Disney would be trying to be less gay.
So I will say this. I think in particular, we've talked a number of times on this podcast about that sometimes there is a contrived effort for diversity, especially when it comes to LGBTQIU stuff. I think sometimes it's just not every single movie and every single TV show has to have a gay character. And I will defend that notion. What I don't like about this is that I feel like they are anticipating the notes of crazy right-wingers who will read between the lines and complain that a character is gay. Mm-hmm. That worries me more because that means that these crazy right-wingers who will be like, oh, if you look at this, if you pause the movie at this exact moment, it looks like the guy's got a boner and he's a gay or whatever. That should not be rewarded ever, and that's what it sounds like they're doing. The executives are doing is anticipating these psychos, and that's not good.
Well, and also recognizing that these employees are saying, I mean, the whole reason why they're speaking out is because they were likely laid off, and they felt that they did all this work. Also, something should be noted that because they were laid off before I think the film came out, they don't receive the bonus that the employees get for the film's success.
Oh my God.
So that's another reason why they might be speaking. And that also speaks to the anger of this whole situation.
Yeah.
That is awful.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I have to say, like, I mean, I wasn't particularly interested in seeing Lightyear. I mean, I mean, not because it's Tim Allen, and I knew he wasn't even in it, but
He wasn't.
I just don't care. I just didn't care.
Yeah.
But Inside Out 2, I'm like, yeah, I'll definitely want to see that because the first one was so thoughtful, so
Oh, was it?
oh, it's beautiful. You'll weep. I mean, it's
a great
really
film.
touching.
Maybe for your birthday, I'll watch it.
Okay,
as a treat.
But I'm like, again, I'm not a film executive, but I can't imagine that a movie failed because there was a same-sex kiss in it, as if people are not going to like the logistical reasoning that it takes to get to that place. You know, that somebody would preemptively say, we're not seeing that movie. I read on joeblow.com that there's a same-sex. It's like, what? No, people just didn't want to see that movie.
I mean, I think what's interesting about this is that Lightyear came out in the midst of sort of dealing with all of that COVID, going back to theaters drama.
Course.
So it allowed for a more micro conversation about details of the film in ways that now they're probably, if Lightyear was released today, that would be a blip of a scene. It would not be a topic of discussion really in a lot of situations, because there's a lot more to talk about in terms of film. At that point when Lightyear came out, there wasn't a lot to talk about. And so I get the sentiment in that respect. And I do like the universality, I can't say that word, of storytelling from Disney, in that something doesn't have to be necessarily direct all the time, or something doesn't necessarily have to, just like, you know, I'm thinking with Tiana, with one of my favorite Disney films, The Princess and the Frog. You know, that didn't have to represent every black person in America, but it did have to represent it had to represent sort of the cultural touch point that many different people could watch it and relate to it, relate to that character in lots of different ways. Many different types of people could watch and relate to that character in lots of different ways. If you're Southern, you're going to have a deeper impact with that character than maybe someone from the North is going to have those kind of aspects. And I like that about Disney. And I liked that about Inside Out too, that, you know, sure, you could have had a character be overtly queer, and I wouldn't have been bothered by it at all. But I also think there is something to sort of the letting a lot of people take a lot of different things from a story, you know, that I kind of respect that a little bit, and other than something being thrown in my face, unless it's intentional for the story. And in Lightyear, the whole point of the character was that it was just a person in the film. It was a supporting character who had a wife. That was all. That was literally all it was. It had no basis in the story whatsoever. And so the offense there, it had nothing to do with the failure of the film, because it wasn't even the point of the film. It was like the smallest of moments in the film.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that it feels like we're sort of amidst a clawing back of sort of the LGBTQ plus wave that we've sort of ridden for the last 10 years, which is something, not to tease future episodes.
Clawing back as in like an attack on it?
I think the push against constant representation is certainly making waves. I mean, I don't think that's the end of the world. I think in a lot of corners of this country, LGBTQ rights is sort of just a foregone conclusion. And maybe not T necessarily. I shouldn't have included T. That's obviously very problematic, unfortunately, for some people still. But I think a lot of LGB rights are sort of entrenched. So I'm not saying, you know, we're going back to, you know, 1994 again, but it definitely feels like the shift on the line has kind of been towards these sort of little victories over the last 2-4 years, at least in my sort of anecdotal note taking.
Yeah, it always just becomes more heightened because the entertainment is geared towards children. And so whenever children are involved, the ultra conservative come out because they're so terrified of the children's future and what's happening with the children, when really there's not much danger. They're fine. The kids are all right.
The kids aren't worried.
The kids are doing fine.
Lightyear would look boring.
Lightyear, I liked Lightyear, but it was sort of, it wasn't great.
Well, I'll never watch it ever, so there you go.
Watch Inside Out too, though. It's really good.
Nope.
Not even joking.
We have Zach Day with us today. Zach is a musician, a singer, songwriter, and performer. Thanks for joining us, Zach.
Hey, Zach.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. It's an honor.
I love
You are.
I love the Bass Pro Shop hat.
I
If
love
people
that.
are watching the podcast, I
Yeah.
come from the part of the country where Bass Pro Shop is a big deal in Missouri. So I know
Okay.
Bass Pro Shop very well.
Wait, so that's real? A Bass Pro Shop is a real thing?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a real thing. What do you think it was?
Yeah.
I don't know.
This
You just thought it was
this
just something-
East Coast elitist over here has no idea that Bass Pro Shop is a real place. He just thinks it's like
I hooked up
ironic
at a Bass
hats.
Pro Shop once in the Ozarks.
Wow.
No way, that's so hot. Like that's my dream, honestly, and you're living it because I was just at the Bass Pro Shop in Nashville because I was in Nashville for the past couple days. I just got back here last night, but I was in Nashville and we stopped at the Bass Pro Shop because I was with my friend and her husband. So you got to do what you got to do for like the straight people. But I was like, hey, I love the men in there, so I'm down.
Wait,
And,
what?
yeah.
I thought you were I thought you were based in Nashville.
So I'm like, listen, I'm all over the place. I feel like I
Yeah.
live like the artist life.
Yes, you're on the
You know what
road.
I'm saying? Like for real. So I'm like part-time in Phoenix, Arizona, actually. So that's where I'm at right now.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And I'm doing like a kind of residency here at this place called Connect. They pay my rent to just like sing here sometimes
Oh,
and
nice.
post
Oh, wow.
about them on my
Nice.
Instagram. They were looking for a live-in influencer, and I was like, I don't know if
outta
I'm
here.
an influencer, but
That's
yeah.
really what's happening?
Yes, so I did it for
Wow.
like 2 years in Nashville, and then they just built the one here in Phoenix like not too long ago. So they were like, "Would you want to like maybe give the Phoenix one a try?" I was like, "Yeah, sure," because it's a lot closer to LA too. So yeah, I'm pretty much just Phoenix, LA, Nashville, Kentucky. That's where my
Well, you're
family
from
is.
Kentucky, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Your family's still there?
Yes, they're all still in Kentucky. I have 3 sisters and
Where in
my
Kentucky?
grandparents
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
everybody.
that matters.
Yeah, I'm from Stearns, Kentucky. It's southeastern Kentucky on the Tennessee
Oh,
border.
wow.
Okay.
Hardcore.
Yeah, so
So
like
you're near Dollywood.
a couple hours from Dollywood.
Okay,
yeah, we
yeah.
had season passes.
Sure.
The true like I was born a coal miner's daughter. That's like legit. So like
Wow.
she's like my cousin, I think. So you never know.
Wow.
Is Dolly beloved in that corner of Kentucky and the country still?
Oh, Dolly for sure. I mean, she's a Tennessee girl. I
Yeah.
was just referencing some Loretta Lynn.
Oh,
Yeah.
God,
Because
God.
she's the coal miner's
Forgive
daughter. So let me just make sure everybody
Forgive
knows
me.
that.
Yeah.
They'll be like, Zach is fake as a fucking here.
Anyone from the East or West Coast, I had no idea what you were talking about, but everyone from the Midwest was pissed at you. So like you definitely had a regional anger thing going on with that.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I know the difference between Dolly and Loretta, but no, Dolly is, I mean, of course, because she still has I think it's called Imagination Station or something. So, like, she donates books to,
Yeah.
like, local libraries and stuff like that. And Kentucky and Tennessee and just all over, like, Appalachia, really. So,
Well,
yeah,
hopefully
love
not.
her.
Hopefully not books filled with queers in them
I
or
know.
anything like that.
I know,
She's
but
such
she
a
loves,
philanthropist.
she's an
She is.
ally. You know what I mean?
she is.
Wait, so what is it like to be performing at this? I mean, because like, first off, explain a little of what you do in your music and everything that
Yeah.
you do, but also what is it like to do that in Phoenix, which doesn't feel like it has much of a interest in. I mean, I don't know Arizona very well, but I have this feeling it's probably not very country.
Right. So, okay. Well, yeah, I guess I'll just say like, I do music like full time. I'm a singer songwriter. I perform and put out music, and I'm just a full time artist. You know what I mean? So it's great. It took me some time to figure out like exactly, what type of music I wanted to do because I grew up singing on the porch with my sister and my best friend of like 20 years. So we got that really nice, like,
You did rap, right? You were a rap
close-knit-
artist with your.
yeah, and we were rapping, Rapper's Delight.
Yeah.
But no, we were just doing that 3-part harmony kind of family tight harmony stuff, and like
Yeah.
that's where we learned to sing. And so yeah, I just kind of you would skip school and just play guitar and teach each other how to sing and stuff. So that's kind of where I grew up in what I was doing. And then I went to school in Kentucky. I went to college, so that was boring. And then I did The Voice, and that was like crazy because I did The Voice like my last semester of college, and I was like,
You got picked by John Legend.
yes, and Kelly Clarkson.
And
but
Kelly
I
Clarkson.
picked
Ellie
John.
too.
How
Yeah, I knew the
dare
John
you,
part.
Elliot? How dare you? Wait, let's talk a little bit about that experience, because like, what's it like being backstage? You know, how long do you have to wait before they make you go on? Like, before
And was
you can
that your
go on?
first national exposure?
Okay, so no, it wasn't my first national exposure. If you go see my Twitter, no, I'm just kidding. You'll see, I'm exposed everywhere on there. No, that's my alt.
You have an alt.
Let's not talk about it. Actually, I probably shouldn't say that. But no, I did American Idol as well when I was like young. So like, I remember auditioned when I was like 16. My aunt took me
Which
to
version of
Nashville.
American Idol did you do? Was it the Katy Perry era, or was it that other era?
I auditioned once before during the old school time when I was like 15, but then I did it when it was this first season on this new network, and the judges were like, who was it? It was Harry Connick Jr., J-Lo,
Oh God.
and somebody. Oh, who was the other one? Keith Urban.
Yeah, Harry Connick Jr. Jesus.
Yeah.
He's great.
Who would watch that? Who would watch that?
I don't know about Harry. I mean, I think he's probably fine at like a dinner
Who
party.
was the
but
mean one out of those three? Who
It was
the
supposed
mean
to be
one?
Harry.
It was
Yeah.
supposed to be Harry.
he was the mean one.
Yeah, he was supposed to be.
Deborah Messing's husband on Will and Grace was supposed to be the mean one. That's ridiculous.
I know. And it was
Yeah.
because he was like, he was the sassy one for sure. J-Lo didn't say much, but she said she liked my fit and my shoes and stuff like that. And then Keith Urban kind of had my back throughout the thing. But anyway, yeah, so that was like, I made it to Hollywood that season.
Oh,
and
great.
that was like my first time on an airplane. I think
wow.
I was 18 or 19 then.
Oh,
yeah.
sure. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So that was
Wait, but
while back.
let's talk about The Voice. So what was that experience like? How nervous do you get waiting to see if they're going to turn around?
Oh my God.
Tell us about it.
It's like very nerve wracking. So yeah, I did The Voice a few years later, it was actually filming in 2019 and then like some of 2020. So like our season was like the COVID season. I mean, whatever. But so anywho, yeah, it was freaking crazy. I mean, I was, like I said, in my last semester of college, so I was doing school while I was like filming The Voice, and like, it's like a lot more behind the scenes stuff than anybody ever sees. It's like months of like going out to Burbank and staying at this hotel and just like, the NBC Universal lot is like in Burbank. So like we did a lot of everything in Burbank. So it's like you're not in like Hollywood or whatever, but it was cool. But yeah, you're working with the band a lot behind the scenes that you don't even see. Like this is just leading up to like the blind audition or whatever.
Wow.
This is all leading up to the Soul audition?
Yes, it's called The Blinds. Yeah, The Blinds. It's a lot. Yeah, I was there for like a month and then I came back and went back out for a couple of weeks. It's just
Wow.
and
That's
you're just kind of
a lot of work.
It is, and you're working on like one song pretty much for like that whole time, just like preparing for the moment,
And remind me, the song you sang was "Weak" by SWV, right?
Yeah.
That showcases obviously not just your beautiful voice, but the fact that you wanted to do something strictly R&B, even though you have more of a country vibe, I would say.
Right. So all of that to say, like, I was really struggling with my identity as an artist and as a musician for a long time. I mean, and I wouldn't say necessarily struggling. I just didn't know. I didn't even really think about that. I was just like, no, I sing and I sing down. So y'all better, get ready. And it doesn't matter what I'm going to sing, I'm going to slay. And so I had been singing that song for years and playing it on my guitar and doing it my way for a very long time. And I actually played that song on my guitar for the casting directors and everyone, and they really enjoyed it. And they were calling me Gaylor Swift and all this other stuff. So that was actually
in a good way.
It was like funny, but then like I didn't know I was going to keep making it, and actually that was how I came out to my family. Being on The Voice and talking about being gay. So anyway, that's a whole nother story. But yeah,
That's
man,
a story we want to hear. How did
I mean, what was that like?
this is the podcast to do it on.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about it. I mean, so it was just, I kind of went into that first initial audition, which was, they found me on Instagram. They asked me to come to some private audition with just the casting director.
You sure this wasn't the alt?
I was like, I'm scared. Right, who here was scared? You know what I mean? I was giving that.
You're scared with your pants down. Go ahead.
Exactly. I'm like really scared right now.
Yeah.
But no, it was like in this weird studio, kind of like undisclosed. I was like, I don't know. But I had to really think about it because, like I said, I was in school and all this other stuff, and I really wasn't sure what was going to happen. But I had a friend that had made it really far, like the season before that. She got like to the top 4 or something. Her name's Mackenzie. We are like, we have videos together on my Instagram. People are always like, "Oh, Zach and Mackenzie." I'm like, right, no, but she's cool. But she's a Kentucky girl too, so
I just want a gif of you just going, "Her name's Mackenzie," just over and over. Her name's Mackenzie. I know you do, but you're just like, "Oh, this bitch Mackenzie." Great.
No. It's just we do get lumped together a lot.
Yeah,
Sometimes that can be. But anywho, yeah, so she made it really far. And I was just like, look, if she can do it, you know, what's the worst that could happen? Worst that could happen is, you know, I get embarrassed on national TV. But I was like, I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't make it, maybe. That could be a thing. Or best that could happen, I mean, I could win or whatever. So I went, and I was just very myself because I had like this long hair. I remember I had like my nails painted and like a rat tail and like a piercing in my nose and all this other stuff and
bandana, right?
And a bandana. Well, yeah, for the blind, yeah, I did. But
and your family was there.
Yes, but this is like before they even get. This is like the first one, like the casting.
Oh, I see.
Sorry.
No, go.
So yeah, that was like whenever I had to like audition for them, and then they were like, okay, we think basically you're going to be like the gay one. That was pretty much like,
oh wow.
Wow. And you know, I mean, who can blame them? I came in dressed like that. You know what I was saying? And I was very myself, but I was kind of like, you know, I didn't really plan on making it any further or anything like that. I was just going for fun, you know.
And wait, your family had no idea you were gay at all?
Well, we had never talked about it, but I mean, I just saw a video the other day of me and my sister dancing to "Oops, I Did It Again," and I am looking gay, and I'm just like, yeah. You didn't know, Mom? That's so cute. Liar.
Yeah.
Wait, how do you take something like, you know, being on shows like that and then parlay that into sort of being a working musician while not having like the weight of the win or whatever it is behind you? Like, how do you translate that?
It's a lot harder than you think. And that actually is kind of one of the things that, you know, people that go on the show, you get confused because, like I said, I was kind of younger at the time. I had no clue about anything. I was really hoping that this show would kind of help push me in a direction or in a genre, or like maybe John Legend would actually like really kind of take me under his wing. And he was great, don't get me wrong, like, and he still like will reach out every now and then, which is amazing because he does not have to do that. So, you know, big love for him for sure. But, you know, I just kind of was thinking, oh, well, maybe this is going to help me figure out what to do in the music industry. You know, and that was kind of naive, I guess, because it's a reality show, you know, but
still exploitative. You mean there's, you know, they bring you in for 6 weeks and parade you in front of America and then kind of like leave you there if you don't win.
Exactly. It doesn't, you know, like you don't, they have nothing to do with you after it's over. And, you know, you kind of know that, but that just kind of gives you the opportunity to take this platform that if you are lucky enough to get some people that enjoyed your performances or get some fans, I guess, then it's up to you to do whatever after that. So, you know, I kind of, after I got eliminated and everything, I moved directly to Nashville, like pretty much right after I got eliminated, before anything even aired. I was living in Nashville. I was trying to just get ahead of it a little bit. And I will say too that they kind of like really wanted me to do this R&B thing. They wanted me to be, and this is like, I'm not saying this to be like weird, but they were kind of like, you're like the white guy that can do runs. And I'm just like, that's crazy to say, but whatever. Like, but that was kind of like what it was, you know? And, everybody good?
Oh yeah, my computer plug or something.
Elliot's just falling apart. That's all.
Sorry.
Continue, Zach.
I guess so. But anyway, yes. But and then I was just really confused because I was like, well, okay. And then I had like these people immediately, as soon as things start moving and airing, you get people in your DMs that are wanting to be your manager, wanting to work with you and use you. And, I had people in my ear telling me like what I need to sing, the type of music I need to do. Well, all of your fans like this and all of your songs are like this. And I kind of had to figure it out. But
how do you? What does that mean in terms of like being told you should do R&B, but living in Nashville and wanting to? It's not that you only. It's not even that you do like country music. You're just influenced by it. But what did that mean for you? At like, what did you take from that whole experience, and how have you pivoted that towards what you wanted to do and what you do?
I think that say doo-doo again.
Doo-doo.
No, I just thought that too, and I was like, I won't say it. I won't say it.
The voodoo that you do.
I just think that I learned a lot because there were some other people that were on the show with me that were like made it a little bit further than me too, but I just saw them in action, and I kind of saw them as they were kind of fully developed artists. There's a couple people that come to mind when I think about it, but they were fully developed artists, as in they already had a brand, they had a very specific look, they had a specific sound, and they could kind of tie it all up in a pretty bow. Where I was just like, I just sing whatever. It's like you can't do that. So
you have to be like digestible right away, I guess. Not digestible. It has to be pretty. You have to have like a broad, understandable brand, I imagine.
Yes. So it's like, okay, if they're going to put you on the show as the R&B guy or the guy that
thick or something.
Right. Exactly. No, that's 100% it. So like, I just, I'm a folk singer at heart. I really had to like go back to basics, Christina Aguilera, and just like think about it like that. Like, okay, who am I? Where do I draw my inspiration from? And really it comes from the backwoods of Kentucky on a porch. And so, and the type of music that I always was writing was very similar to that stuff. Had to go back to those women, Dolly Parton, Loretta Lynn, all these women that really inspired me, and then figure it out from there. And it took me a little time, but now like I've been saying for the past little bit that my brand and my genre is like y'alternative, and that has really worked for me.
It's very smart.
What about like, Nashville is one of those cities that, it is a gay-friendly city, but I don't think it's known for being gay-friendly. So, like, how do you navigate living and working in Nashville? I mean, not currently, but, being based there in Nashville and sort of being gay, but at the same time, like, dealing with some of the realities that a city like Nashville can throw your way?
I was kind of raised in the Bible Belt, you know what I mean? And like a very conservative, my town that I grew up in was super small, and maybe that's why it took me so long to come out to my family and stuff like that. I wasn't necessarily comfortable with it for a very long time. And yeah, Nashville's a cool place, and it's a little bit more open-minded than people might think, but at the same time, it's still the South, and we still have a long way to go, in my opinion. Yeah. And I just think that like I kind of have been openly gay and proud about it for the past few years. And I talk about it in my music. I use male pronouns and stuff like that. And I'm just like, whatever, like I'm writing whatever is like true and authentic to me. If the music industry isn't ready for it in Nashville, then I don't really care. Like, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. I'm good. Like, I'm living my dream, and like y'all can hop on or get out,
Let me ask you a question. When you say Nashville has like a little ways to go still,
yeah,
despite being relatively friendly, gay friendly, what do you mean by that?
I just think that anywhere that in the South is going to be a few years. But like you go to LA and you're going to see a lot of people just like dressed a different types of way. You know what I mean? Like you're going to see a lot of different representations of queer people, whatever. Nashville is still, in my opinion, like it's very just like white and bland and kind of stuck in about 20 years ago. To me, I don't know. Maybe that's just me as a queer person. But I will say, like, not too long ago, I had a friend come down from New York City. She had never been to Nashville, and we were going to see a show there. And I'm like, well, let's go down here. Like, Nashville's really cool. And she's like, I don't know. I don't know if I like Nashville for real. It's kind of like weird. And then we saw there was a KKK like march happening or something like that. And I was like, cool. Oh my God. And we like take off literally running back to the car. And then she's like, girl, I'm black and you're gay, they would have killed us. And I was like,
Yeah, wow.
oh, like this is not normal. But it just
I
maybe
imagine that
happens.
I imagine that you can feel safe and at peace there. But like to Brent's question too, I'm curious, like, is the music industry, or I know you're not working just in country by any means, but do you find that that country music, both the business and the music itself, remains behind as just in general?
I mean, think about it. Like, there's not that many. I can't think of any artists that are like openly gay country music artists that have a hit on the radio.
We had a guest on years ago named Davis Mallory, and he was talking about like doing like country music as a gay guy, and like it was very challenging. So I'm wondering if it's. I know you're not just doing country, but
I mean, I just went to not just country, just in the music industry in general. There's a few. It's happening a little bit more now, and I think that like now is the perfect time for me and other artists like me to maybe have like a hit song that's a little bit gay or whatever. I try not to I just write whatever I want, but it is. I mean, like, I don't know. I went to a show the other night, and it was like this guy, this straight man, obviously, but he's big in Nashville. He sold out the Troubadour in Los Angeles, and we went to that show. And I was looking at the audience and him and stuff, and just taking notes. I'm always just mentally like just trying to figure out what's going on. And his songs were good, and he had like a drummer, but he was singing along to tracks and stuff like that. No shade, but I was just like, okay, acknowledging that, and then looking at the audience, and it was like a lot of different type of people, but it was like women, and these women were just like yes, and like living for him, and also these men too were singing along and stuff like that. So I was trying to think like, man, like that's kind of interesting that whatever he's doing, he's got women and men. You just gotta like cater to your audience. And I was trying to think like, what do I need to do to have all
song
different
about
types of people?
Song about buttholes.
I gotta.
I want a love song about buttholes.
No, there's that guy who I don't know if he's like legitimate, but isn't he? There's like a country singer. I feel like it's like a TikTok like pseudo joke, but a guy who's
Lil
like a country
Nas?
No. He's legitimate. I'm talking about like a country singer guy who talks about like he's riding on my butt or something, or like I know what you're talking about, or whatever. And it's like, is it a full on joke? Like it's a real song, but
it's a real song, and maybe he'll get something else after that. But to me, I'm like, you're not going to hear that on like mainstream radio.
Yeah, probably not.
Kiss FM's not playing that.
To circle back though, how did your family take to you coming out on national television?
Well, okay, so the further I was making it on the show and the closer I was getting to that big audition, the blinds, like I said, it's months, right? So it's like, and I keep thinking, well, it's fine. Like, I don't know what they're going to show, what they're going to want to talk about, whatever. Well, one day this producer there's like a producer assigned to me, and she called me and she was like, okay, so like, the blinds are coming up, and we want to actually fly your mom out and your best friend and whoever, whatever, like we want to fly them out. And she was like, and the big thing that I want to tell you about is like, we want to ask your mom about what it was like to raise like a gay son in like the backwoods of Kentucky on a farm. And I was like,
okay.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know I was going to do all of that. Like, okay. So I got nervous.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I don't want to. And I kind of was like fighting her a little bit. I was like, I don't really want to be like your token gay character. And she's like, it's not like that. Like, we loved that guy that walked in there with the rat tail and the fingernails painted. And you said yourself that you're like a queer musician and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, to you.
She's like, you call yourself Gaylor Swift, and you're like, no, you do.
Like, wait, no, like, I don't know. I did what I had to do to get cast, but then I got nervous whenever it was like, okay, but now it's time to actually face it.
Did you warn your mom?
Yeah. So what I did was like, I got off the phone with her. I told her, I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. And she's kind of like, well, if you don't, then we're going to have to figure out something else. But that is kind of the story that we're going.
So that's very menacing to someone who's spent 6 weeks preparing for a show. She's basically saying, we could axe you if we want, because this is the storyline. So that's a very unfortunate. I mean, it's not surprising, but it's very unfortunate. So so how did your mom take it?
So I just texted I was like, let me get back to you. Because I was like, I might just not, we can come up with something else. But, whatever. So then I got off the phone and then I called my sister because my sister knew and my best friend. And I was just like, guys, like, do you think I should tell my mom and dad? Like, what do you think? And they're like, yeah. Like, my sister was like, I think they already know. I think it's okay. Just talk to them. And I was like, okay. So I just texted my mom and my dad the same message separately and was just like, guys, I'm gay and I'm going to be on The Voice. Well, I was like, this is the perfect time to come out because I'm going to be on TV. And like, but they're going to talk about me being gay. But anyway, like, you're getting to go to LA for free. So,
And I'm only bi-curious.
You can just stay in Burbank.
Were your parents cool with it?
Yeah, luckily they both my dad was just like, okay, love you. I was like, thank God. And then my mom was like, love you, but have you told your grandparents?
Oh, no.
It's a whole other story. You'll have to do
Always the
another
grandparents.
round of TV to tell your grandparents, perhaps.
I was like, they can just watch it.
You
and
can
if
do
they have any
America's Next
questions-
You can do America's Got Talent next, and then tell your grandparents.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No more reality TV. Unless it's Survivor. I'll do that.
All right, there you go.
Ooh.
Well, Zach, thank you so much for doing the podcast. Where can people find your music online?
Thank you for having me. Y'all just check me out at Zach everywhere. Zach.com, whatever. And then Zach Day, all my music is streaming. We got a lot of cool stuff coming. I'm so excited for like the rest of the year. It's gonna be amazing.
That's great. That's awesome.
And
Thank you
if you're in Phoenix, go to Connect.
Connect Phoenix, I'm here hanging out and working
Connect.
sometimes. And then I've got actually a bunch of shows coming up in LA. So y'all
great.
just follow me and come out.
Check
I'd
out the
love
website.
to see everybody.
great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Zach.
And another thing.
So this was interesting. I was at a bar recently, drinking alone, flirting with the bartender, and they had
Who happened to be straight.
who certainly was straight. This was downtown, of course, America's favorite neighborhood, downtown Los Angeles, and the bar had sports on. And this commercial,
According to Brent magazine.
the readers of Brent magazine have voted downtown Los Angeles the greatest neighborhood in the world. The bar had sports on, and this commercial kept running, and it was about the partnership between the WWE, of course, the wrestling company, and the Love Has No Labels campaign, which defines itself as, quote, a movement to promote acceptance and inclusion of all people across race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, age, and disability.
Wow.
Now, promoting acceptance and inclusion across race, religion, disability, and age is certainly not controversial, and I support them 100%. Always. But for some, of course, including folks who I would think might be watching WWE, the gender and sexual orientation part might be very problematic.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought it was really interesting. I have one cynical friend, a beloved friend of the podcast who shall remain nameless, told me that...
You're not that beloved.
No, but he told me that his take on this was a little more cynical, that it was just WWE's PR campaign to make amends for some fucked up shit they've done in the past, including
Sounds like it.
some associations with Saudi Arabia. That said, I do still think it's impressive to watch an ad like that running, targeting wrestling federation fans, because that's, it's interesting to watch.
I think it's old too, right? It's been going on for a
it's-
while.
Yeah, it's a several. Yeah, the partnership's been several years.
I don't know. It feels. I mean, yes, it is good. I think it's a good thing that it's there and it exists and that it's seen, and I'm sure that's a good thing. But I think the vast majority, I agree with this beloved friend who shall remain nameless, because it does feel completely forced. It feels like that they have to do it in order to save face or to prevent. Maybe it was, and this could be too, maybe it was a part of a settlement of a lawsuit that then said you have to include this in XYZ a number this many times a year in order to meet this quota of this settlement. I could definitely see that being a case. And that happens a lot with these places where they recognize that corporate America has outpaced a lot of sort of conservative Americans in certain aspects or parts of this country. And so in order to maintain relationships with other parts, especially corporate sponsors and advertisers, which is the biggest part of this, that in order to not piss off advertisers, they
Sure.
have to do something in order to maintain that relationship, and this goes a long way to do that. So
Yeah.
if it
I mean,
works,
listen,
cool.
it says that the WWE as part of the campaign offers merchandise associated with different heritage months, and that the money goes back to the ad council to support the campaign, and that they do videos featuring footage of historical figures like Martin Luther King Jr., Cesar Chavez, and Harvey Milk, who, as we know, loved wrestling. But I mean, listen, it's like it can't hurt, you know.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
it's largely on the whole a good thing.
Yeah, but I also don't think it's from some sort of deep-rooted belief in the person who is a corporate executive at WWE who is like, I have to do this for my gay kid.
The other I certainly agree with that. I would never disagree with that. The other thing I will say, as someone who, has watched a few UFC events, UFC and WWE are wildly different. Obviously, we know as an art form, but WWE really is the straight male soap opera.
Mm-hmm.
And, these storylines, these arcs, they last for years sometimes. It's good versus evil. We have several friends that love watching all of these major events.
It's honestly their Real Housewives.
It's their Real Housewives. And so I can also would guess it's possible that actually their listenership isn't quite as conservative as you would expect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they I'm not saying there's anything by any means femme about watching wrestling, but it's their theater. And unlike like UFC, which is wildly different to me, which is definitely very, very much linked with hard right now. And UFC is like, there's no theater there. You're just watching two guys beat the shit out of each other.
Ironically, and it's like hot.
Yeah, it's really fun.
I don't know. If I'm looking at between UFC or WWE, I have to say there's something about WWE that I think is hotter.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
but that's
used
because
to
you're a
love
drag queen, and WWE is literally drag. Like it's actual drag.
I just imagine walking in, someone yelling "faggot" at me, and me getting kind of turned on, like me being like me holding my purse, looking at them with my lip gloss on, being like, "Thanks."
Yeah, but it would be awesome if you turned around and you were like, "That's right, I am new wrestling icon, faggot."
Yeah,
faggot.
FAGHOT or something. Yeah,
and I'm gonna make you a bottom.
What would your aunt say?
Brent, what would your Aunt Ramona say about something she heard on today's show?
If that list of 41 celebs who did Full Frontal does not include Burt Reynolds, I'm not interested.
My Aunt Joanne would say, the only time I watched wrestling was for Goldberg. You know why. How about Aunt Ann?
Well, I have to say about the 41 celebs, most of those were prosthetic penises too. I went through that list, and a lot of them were not actual nude scenes. I'm just
Mark
saying.
Wahlberg and Boogie Nights.
Not even saying. Most of that's even too old for them. He wasn't even on the list. We're talking about new prosthetic penises that were in this list. So yeah, it was
wow.
Aunt Ann would say, I have no problem with Disney characters being gay. Just please don't make Gaston gay. He can't be gay. I need Gaston to be straight.
Gaston's not gay. His LeFew is gay.
Gaston's also pretty gay. Let's just be real. He's pretty gay.
That dynamic is very bizarre.
Yeah, it's gay.
LeFew.
Gay. And I bet Gaston's like the dirty butch bottom. You know what I mean?
Oh, boy.
He's out there being like, yeah, man, put it in my ass.
Oh, boy. That's very crass, sir. I don't like ending this podcast on such a silly,
good
crass
night and
note.
good bottom. Good night and good bottom.
As Brent texts like dirty pictures to Anike or whatever.
Yeah.
Anike in Nigeria.
Emeka, sir.
Hey.